Well, now it's time to write some CSS. I just turned the volume up, but I'm not playing any sound. I guess I just meant to talk louder. Anyway, all right, so really I just did a couple quick things here to set up a little layout sheet for us. I created a global CSS file and just made this component div. And it's going to give us a little container for each component and let us focus on each of these things individually. So not much to see there. All right, so one other thing, I want to make sure I'm working with the right fonts because line heights sometimes make a pretty big difference. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new kit for this font I'm using, which is Filson Soft. I'm going to add it to a kit, create a new one called Saratoga nope, that's a different friend. Saratoga Chimney Suite. And this is saratoga.dev. We'll grab that, continue, put that in my default layout. And I usually just start with all of them. Actually, you know what? I know I don't use heavy, and I know I don't use thin or light because it's just way too light. Pretty sure I just used book regular and bold. So actually, let's just do that. Publish. I'm gonna set up some variables here. So grab this. Set up a variable. Colors will go here. I also have this serif font, which is view. Where's the little drawer here? Show inspector. Freight text, which actually is also here. So we'll add that. I have to deal with this little window with typekit. Is anyone else frustrated with that? I'm using book, and that should probably be the only weight I need. Actually, I'm using it down here. Also in book. Cool. And not even italic. We'll just leave it as lightweight as possible. Actually, we'll do that. Using fonts. Okay. Publish those to make sure they're there, even though it probably already did it. And we're done. Next, I'm going to do some color picking. So let's grab this color of red. I like to define the color just explicitly first, like red, and then I'll do like button or like primary, right? And then set that to red. So I know like, oh, it's the red color or whatever in case I'm just slinging code around. Dark, I think I'm using like 2s. 2, 3, sure. All right. It's weird dealing with a tiny little window here. There I am. Because of the inspector. View. Show layer list. Back to page 1. What is that? What have I done? Interesting. All right, view. Now we've got these different shades of, I don't know, what is this, like tan or brown? No, I need the inspector back again. Color. We'll call this, I always hate this arbitrary color. We're going to do like tan and then light tan, tan lighter, less tan. And this body text, we'll call this gray. I do this too. Do you do this? I'll put that down here in like the definitions. And that should be close enough to 2323. And this should also be dark. All right, that should get us going. What color is this? Let's just confirm. 98867 is a new color, new shade. Well, we'll try one of the defaults on. Maybe I just color picked and it was off a little bit. You're getting all the gritty thoughts right here from me. Gray, body is gonna be gray. What else? Primary, secondary is going to be dark. Actually, secondary is probably going to be tan. Tertiary should be dark. Darl. All right. Back to some components. We're going to start at the top with the nav. So let's go to navs. We'll explicitly define the height. I don't always do that, but it does help when you're getting started until you've got your elements in place, and then sometimes you can do that with the padding. Right, and then we've got, I'm gonna go flex box on this. We've got, let's add that, add a class of logo. And then UL. We'll flex one, align items, center. Now, there we go. And let's grab this logo here. Make it exportable. And let's do that as an SVG. I'm gonna go down to Jack. Learn Saratoga, site, themes, chimney, image. I'll just make it simple for now. All right, cool. Those colors look off. I was dealing with this before. Some of my colors definitely don't come out of Sketch the way they go in. Logo.svg, let's take a quick look at, we can see why. See, this little element is actually an image inside. It's probably something to do with it, but still, it's weird. Where's the whole thing an image? I don't even see any other elements. Okay. Well, we've got the shape of it, and we can worry about the details later. I put a lot of stuff off till later, and I'll probably just clean it up when you're not watching. But anyway, the height is 99 pixels high. It is the same height, so that's accurate. Now, close that out. I don't do any more selectors than I need to, so I'm just gonna jump right into actually text decoration is what I'm looking for. A little bit flustered having somebody watch me. Color is gonna be dark. I like to organize alphabetically. Except layout stuff is at the top. I don't know, that's how I do it. Font size 18. Give a decent amount of padding. Looks like maybe 30 pixels. And let's see where we're at. Font family. Actually, this should be a good place for global. By default, I think we're really just going to be using font family sans color body. Cool. Right. Now let's do flex 1. So that is the default, right? I want this to flex all the way to the end. And you probably saw this, didn't you? You were just waiting for that to come back. All right. That seems a little bit more logical. I'll go back to the nav. We'll also flex this. Actually on all the way down. And we did tell it to flex, but I want to align to the right. Yeah, that usually doesn't do it. All right, at this point, I just start playing with these. Nope. This is how I flex, by the way. Some things you just don't remember. And you think, maybe I should just do floats. Yeah, maybe I probably should, but I'm so stubborn. Come on. My internet's probably down, which is fun. Let me give some varying heights here. Home or some widths. Turns out I did want that. Oh, come on. I know there's what is it? Grow, basis, no. Align items, what was it? End, there's like a align self, flex end. That's only if you're doing like columns, right? Flex direction. I could do that, but then that makes this a big giant link. All right, so let's do this. We're gonna cheat because I just hate dealing with float clearing. It's just super annoying. All right, so logo, we're gonna do flex 1. We're gonna kill that. And we should be good. Nice. All right, so that's functional. We do have these little elements. So let's add the button in there. Actually, let's make a special link item. And now we can get into buttons. All right, so buttons SEC. Nope. That was the Statamic. A few things I know about buttons right off the bat. We're going to want to do inline block, and we're going to want some padding. We'll start with like, I don't know, 6, 12. And button primary is going to be primary. Color is going to be white. Font size is going to be 18 pixels. Weight, font weight is going to be medium. We didn't actually add medium, did we? I think it was just bold. But most web fonts come in a little bit thicker in the first place, so it might look fine. I mean, it probably does. All right, so that's a start. Our radius, let's go back. Our radius is 4 pixels. All right. So obviously we're dealing with a height and padding thing, and I can do this 2 ways. I can override it on the button, or I can change the way padding works here, or I could add like a class, or, you know, there's a lot of ways to do this. So I'm just gonna do, we'll do and not button. All right, now we can use button padding exactly how we want. And I usually just play with it here until it looks like what I want. Looks about right. Height is 44. 11 pixels? It just feels weird to me. Let's round up because this is nice and even. Don't you like multiples? I like multiples. All right, now we'll need to add a hover state. I'm just gonna make it darker. So I'm just gonna mix black with primary. Like 10%. Yeah, it's nice. Also cursor, pointer, And this is a good chance for me to, this is something I do in global all the time, is it seems obvious, right? But if you leave the href off of an element, like you're going to do an on-click event or using view handlers or view click bindings, and I just don't like having these empty clicks. So you can just take that off and keep your cursor. Just as a global style, it's one of those tiny little things that is nice. But this will go to a page, so I can just leave that for now. And we're just mocking stuff up. So, now the spacing here, you know, is going to be a little bit off. Let's do, because that padding, I don't want to affect the padding. So let's add some margin between the li elements and maybe make this 30 pixels high. What's our click height? Let's maybe make it 15, and then we'll do margin of 0, 15 to the left and the right, and we'll kind of recreate that spacing. And yeah, that's really kind of the same thing, but at least the heights are more natural. And since we're lying to the right, I would do not and not first child. Now I don't have, shouldn't have that space off to the first. Yep, cool. Although that actually, no, that's actually the UL, so we didn't need to do that. Put that up there, there. UL, it's part of our reset. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now we can start playing with some responsiveness. Hot stuff right there. Oh yeah, something else we want to do on the button is text align center and just move these things around. Yep. Yeah, so that collapses pretty quickly. Homeowner guide. Yeah, look at that. Okay. You know, responsive is really annoying, right? It's just a lot of looking for breakpoints. I'll do a little bit of it, but it's a little bit early. We're going to move on down to the next item. Big header. I kind of want to do this. All right, hero. There's a lot of padding. It's nice and big. It's 550 pixels high, although I'm not sure I'm going to explicitly define that or not. Let's find out. Close button for now. Close navs. Hero. Components. Panels. I didn't make one. All right. I'm going to set the body color here to be tan. Then hero media. While I'm thinking of it, globals, I'm going to do max width of 100%. So images don't break out where they don't belong. All right, hero media, max. I'll probably throw this away, but let's see, like 33%. Hero content. that. Padding looks like roughly 60 pixels, 70, 80, 70. Let's round that out to 80 for now. What do we got? Yeah, it's the beginning of a something. Typography. We are at Statamic typography. There we go. I usually reset this to start. And then I just do individual styles for each one. So this is, it says 60, 260 feels more round. There's some negative letter spacing, so we're gonna do like minus, I don't know, 0.05 ems. It's probably gonna be more than that, but font. Serif. Okay. Font weight is book, so that's going to be 400, I think. Color tan lighter. All right. Let's go back to global. This is looking a little bit fat to me. What is our default font weight? Shouldn't it be? Oh, that is. All right. Font weight. We'll start with a 300 weight. That does affect this, so we're going to come back to the nav. And we'll just do it here. Okay, and buttons. Nope. Let's enforce a 400 weight. Oh, I already did that. Yeah. Cool. Just train of thought. And global. Let's see. Let's just do a 1.5 line height. That's just, we're gonna be setting it everywhere if we don't space this out a little bit. All right, so this is font size 26. Coming back to the heroes, hero content. I usually don't like nesting too much deeper than 2. But in this case, I'm just going to do it. Let's see what it looks like. Definitely too heavy. Oh, it should be 300 already, right? Yeah. So I could go lighter and do that, or I could do like the whole WebKit font smoothing anti-aliased thing. And so for like a decent percentage of users, it looks better. I don't feel like going back to Adobe Typekit right now, so we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so now we got a big black header, dark header. What does this look like without the media? Let's just make sure it can survive on its own. Yeah, it actually looks kind of nice. That's useful. And let's give it an actual image to work with. So we're going to make that exportable as a JPEG. And let's see, fireplace. Interesting. All right, hero media. So we want that to be like a 100% height. That rarely works. Sometimes need to have a height set on the parent, right? That did something, but nothing that useful. Okay, width 100%. Irony. So in this particular case, that's overriding it negatively. So what if yeah, that's not what we want. We could set as a background image, but that's lame. We could kill a flex box, but I don't do that until I have to. What's that? You know the answer? Yeah. Even if you've done it 100 times, just every site is new. You got to think through every problem every single time. Let's see. Let's just reset that. Maybe some flex basis here. So let's do flex basis 33% and flex basis 67. What does that give us? Something more. See, that's actually not how I want it to scale, though. I want it to go to 100% and then shrink the height of the container. So we don't want to set a height. I want this to max out. What's the best way to do that? Nope. Watch me Google, everybody. What if I did flex 1, flex 2, okay, yeah, that's the padding that's making that happen. So I could do an inner wrapper. Hero content, but that kind of sucks. Media content. Let's just test it. kind of the same difference because it's still pushing. I don't want to make it an image. All right, should we do this with floats? We should probably just do this with floats, huh? Let's see. Yeah, let's kill the flex. I can do a flex inside the content area. At least that'll kind of line it up nicely. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so we can do the padding, hero content, font size, kill the inner. We're gonna do float left, margin left. No, we got the padding. That shouldn't matter. Yeah, that should be fine. Overflow hidden left. I feel better when this is 100%, but I know it's probably not going to change anything. Kill that. Yeah, that's closer, right? I mean, definitely closer. We can explicitly set the height, add some padding, scale that down. We're closer. Max width is like, what? Let's try 40%. Okay. Right, so if that's gonna float, then we need margin left 40%. And what if we didn't need the top and bottom padding? We'll just do top and left. And then display flex, line item center. Flex direction is column, so they stack. Yeah, it's getting a little bit awkward. Text align left. Yeah. Now I need another wrapper, which is lame. Because I don't want these to both be flex children. Otherwise I lose some of the benefits. But I do want it to be centered. Hero content. All right, so here we go. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna call that a body. And then we're gonna add hero body content inside that. And this will be an optional element, and maybe I want something flush. So this is, yeah, that makes sense to me. Hero body content. All right, so that's gonna be flex. Shouldn't need to do that. Shouldn't need to do that. And hero body, right? Except let's make that all the way around. It's a little bit too much. 40. All right, that's not bad. This whole thing is a lot bigger, but I have more room. Just start with 50. Actually, doesn't look too bad. 45. I'll play with breakpoints. There's actually more content that's actually going to be there, right? So let's just grab that. Let's not overthink it. And let's actually bring that into, because I like the 2-line look. All right, that's actually surprisingly close. Oh, actually shouldn't need top and bottom padding now that I'm thinking about it. If I do line item center, I lied apparently. Display flex, right? Line item center. Nope. What am I missing? What am I missing? Well, it just doesn't have the height, so it's not going to center it if it doesn't have the height of the element. So if I do hero body, that will snap that into place. Yeah. It's not ideal. It's not exactly how I want to do it. Just tinkering. All right, let's add some explicit heights. We'll start with that. We'll start here. I'm gonna go wider once I have more room to play with, and then we'll break this down at a few breakpoints, and that should probably do the trick. So hero media should also have 100% height. Hero body. Yeah, that's gonna work. That's gonna work pretty well. I know we have like a button down here, so I could drop down. See what happens. Cool. Now we found a new context here. Text decoration, none. And then if I put this in a P tag, that might just flow a little bit better. Oh, we killed the margin, right? Yeah, we did that. We could do. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Now let's see how this adapts a little bit here. Yeah, that is... needs to gain some width. Yeah, it's interesting. CSS is fun, isn't it? This is 1440 pixels wide, though. I'm coding this at much less than that. So if I were to stretch this out to be a little bit more realistic, it actually holds up fairly well. Actually, let's just do that. All right. It's a little bit tight. A little bit tight. We can afford a few pixels here. Let's add. Let's add some padding all around. It's pretty faithful. And okay, let's do that. It is smaller, right? Yeah. 18 pixels. What does that do? Not bad. Pretty close, pretty close. I think maybe the H1's a little bit large. I'm done like 54. That's a bit of a layout thing. It's a little unfortunate. Simply is demeaning. We don't need the word simply. There we go. Good enough. All right, panel headers. Panels, panels, panels. We can kill all that stuff. That's size 18, that's size 30. We're calling that an H2. Let's look at our typography. We haven't done H2 yet, so we can set that to size 30 or 32, 30, yeah. Color is dark. Really, we just got, let's see. Panel side by side. Panel header, right? Nope. not very wide. And then we're gonna have margin right of about 60 pixels. And panel content. Okay, let's come back to typography for a second. Natural flow in text is really nice to have margin on top and bottom, but when you're aligning elements, it's always super frustrating. So I often just, come on, give me the right typography. I often just kill the margin top like on everything just to make that easier. Looks like you got some broken HTML down here, maybe. All right, panel header. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's not a very complicated thing there. We'll call this like, yeah. Put that little space, yeah. Looks good. Now this is so big, you can do a tighter line height, I feel like. Yeah, looks fine to me. All right. Now, something else about the panels. I didn't want them to be too wide. So let's do max width of, I don't know, what are we looking at here? The old screenshot measuring tool. 1000, 1040. Cool. All right. We got a panel. We're going to come back to that later. All right, let's do Blockquote. That should go in typography. All right, which begs the question. Panels. I usually make a panel or an element that is like that just represents this chunk. Like something goes here, it's generic. Something goes here, it's generic block. So I can space them out. So let's make that a panel. And we'll give that basically just like a margin top and bottom of like 120 pixels. It's probably roughly what that is. Yeah. Okay, so if I give everything a panel, I'm gonna come down to my Blockquote panel. Where was that? Did I not add that? Player. Yeah, that's fine. Component. Blockquote panel. We'll do that, and then I can never remember if the site goes inside the Blockquote or not. So Blockquote site, is that next to or adjacent to? Oh, they're putting that like in a footer in there. Visual recommendation with the block quote in a figure and add attribution in the fig caption. That's boring. Just do it in the footer. I like that footer. All right. I like a good old M dash. Cool. All right, let's take a quick look at what we got here. Like 34 pixels. Font size 34. Is it which shade of tan though? AF9. That is tan. Yep. Cool. Font family. Okay, so now, why is that not filling?
Daddy?
Okay, so why is that not filling the width here? Panel. Oh, because it did full margin all the way around. Let's go back to panels. Not on the sides. Cool. Now let's make sure this doesn't become enormous. Panel, block quote, max width, I don't know, like 1040? Look at that, 1040. It's numbers we all kind of use over and over again. 1040, 1280, 960, 720, right? Just keep it even. Numbers are just kind of go-tos. All right, so block quote, go back to the block quote footer. Font family is font sans. Font weight is 300. Color B2. I don't have that yet, so we're gonna do like gray lighter. Margin. Okay. Footer is inside the block quote. I've got a footer inside the block quote, and I've got an error. And look at that. Yep, that's why I do that. Lazy code. All right, that should be font size a lot smaller, 16. And uppercase. They look awful different to me. Oh, because that's Fira instead of... Okay, that's what happened. That was just an accident while I was designing it. That's fine. Looks good. Gaps a little bit different. Font size looks a little bit heavy, so we'll do WebKit font. Actually, this is a good time to start mixins. So I'm going to do include smooth. We're going to add a base mixins file. Mixin smooth. Is it parentheses? Yeah, I think it goes like this. Font smoothing anti-aliased. Go to chimney.css. and cross my fingers. Did I do it? Hey, I did it first try. Cool. If it's been a few weeks since I've used any kind of syntax, I'm always a little bit nervous about it. And I really have nothing to talk about while I'm doing this, so I'm just kind of babbling. Anyway, onwards. Yeah, this looks good. I like it. His line height is slightly different. What do you think? Yeah, default's fine. Looks good to me. I think maybe I'll tighten up the bottom though. All right, so now I've got another component. This is another panel, and we're now getting down to the bottom. All right, so I think you're getting the idea of how I structure this. It would be really painful if you watch me write every single line of code. So what I do before I kind of finish up the rest of this magic style, let's wrap this into a unique template that we can maintain as a style guide. It's pretty good practice to get into. I'm trying to get better and more consistent about doing that myself. So in Statamic, what I would do is, let's close the SAS stuff out. Let's close all these files. And let's make a new layout. And we'll basically duplicate what we've got now for the default, and we'll call it style. And basically, yeah, we can leave all this stuff as it is right now. We probably don't need the jQuery, but maybe would later. And instead of needing a separate template, let's just cut that out. Come down to default, cut that, drop it all in here, give this an H1 of, yeah, just style guide, don't need to overthink it. Now let's open our routes file. We haven't talked about this yet, and we'll get into it deeper, but for now, just go into settings and routes.yaml, and we can just tell it, let's see, style, let's give it a slash, and then layout style. This is gonna give us the URL of style. It's gonna use this particular layout, and although untested, this should, yeah, look at that, cool. So we've got this page here, and we need to juggle a few styles around because we're not gonna leave this body background and whoops. That again, I keep open the Statamic SAS files. If you git ignore them, they won't pull in to add them, but I don't want to git ignore them. So I don't really know any good way of excluding them. If you know, let me know in comments or like email me or something. Anyway, global, this is what it is here. All right, so we're gonna kill this. Background should be white on the main site. And other than that, should be fine. Now, let's just add a class here, body class style guide. And actually, let's go back to our SAS. Where are my settings? Themes, SAS, layouts. All right, so let's make a style layout. And I can move this stuff into there and leave all that alone. And style guide, background, what color was it? Fa, one of my favorite colors. I also love F8, fate, because my fate is in your hands. All right, that's ridiculous. We'll add some body padding also of 60 pixels. What did we have here? I was giving these components padding of 30 and then margin of 60, 30. So let's do, reverse that, 60, 30. Style guide, we need to add that, style, put it down at the bottom, it's special. And yeah, kill this margin here. There we go. Style guide, and let's make that first descendant H1 dark. Or not. Oh, style guide H1. Right? What's wrong with that? Oh, I don't know. Looks good. It feels better to me. Cool, so now we have a style guide. Anytime we update components, we can keep them here, work on responsiveness here, and really make sure that everything kind of stays together. And that way, the components themselves are more interchangeable throughout your layouts. And so we'll be putting these components into layouts, and we'll be building the site and hooking up the control panel in upcoming episodes or components or modules or whatever we call these. And yeah, so hopefully you found this to be somewhat interesting. If you stuck with me this long, like kudos, I owe you a beer or something. But hopefully that was helpful.